Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of EBC Sports International. I'm your host, Aljamin Santos, with the latest and greatest from Las Vegas again for all of our viewers. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you're staying safe and continuing to do your part during these interesting times. It's been nothing short of amazing in the world of sports, and I'm glad to have some of my favorite people joining me once again. Let's start up north in Vancouver, Canada. We have Zsolti Horvath. What's up, Zsolti?
Hey, what's up, Aljamin? I just want to throw a quick shout out to all the people affected by the forest fires in California, Oregon, Washington, and here in BC. We hope you're staying safe, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks, Zsolti. In Washington, D.C., we have Ken Cruz.
Yeah, I'm starting to sweat with all these Game 7s, man. I don't know. It's what's going on right now. I can barely breathe. Yeah.
Oh, I feel you on that. Thanks for joining us, Ken. From Alexandria, Virginia, we have EJ Gonzalez. What's up, EJ?
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, everyone? Thanks again for letting me talk with you guys. I'm ready to talk some good NBA and other sports.
That's 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah, we're so ready. And last but not least, Ben Bernaldez in Quezon City, Philippines. Welcome back, sir.
What's up, Iman, and everyone? Welcome back. It's good to be back on the program. Some exciting sports news in the Philippines, and also excited to be part again with this bunch of guys who really love sports and just bringing good news to all the people and just sports that's really keep us together.
Yes, well said. We just want to remind you that our panelists are just a group of friends who love sports and would love to share our thoughts with you, our viewers. Before we jump into the discussion here, here are some updates that have been circulating the sports world this week. From the world of Major League Soccer, we have Ken with the latest. Ken?
Simon, yes. So the MLS, or Major League Soccer, has officially unveiled its new elite youth development program called MLS Next. The collaboration includes the top elite youth academies from around the country with over 489 teams across 113 clubs and 6 age groups, becoming the new future of the sport. Vice President and Technical Director of the program, Fred Lipka, said, quote, "The goal of the new program is to develop world-class players utilizing an elite form of competition." End quote. The structure of the program highlights the athlete, staff, and community health and safety through local play and minimize travel. The age groups range from under 13 to under 19 and will follow 4-week phases in case adjustments need to be made for health and safety purposes. The first week's matches are all set and scheduled. Schedule will be posted as the fall competition continues. That's all for our MLS updates. Amen, back to you.
Thanks, Ken. Next up, we have Major League Baseball. They decided to take notes from the National Basketball Association. Zsolti has the news. Zsolti.
Thanks, Amin. That's right. The MLB has decided to go to a bubble format for most of its postseason. The bubble has been proposed to be hosted at the Texas Rangers' new stadium, Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. It is worth noting, though, that the first round will still be hosted by the top-ranked teams, and the bubble will be implemented from round 2 onwards. Should the plans be carried out, it would be the first time in league history that postseason games would be played at a neutral site since 1944. That year, the St. Louis Browns and the St. Louis Cardinals both made the World Series while calling Sportsman's Park home. That's it for MLB news. Back to you, Amin.
Thanks again, Zsolti. Well, that's a relief for players, families, and fans who love the sport. The extra precautionary measures these sports leagues are now taking may have changed the experience for both players, team staff, and fans for the foreseeable future. And for Philippine news, we have Ben Bernaldez with some more sports updates. Ben, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Amin. Some good news for Philippines. The first Filipino qualifier for the Olympics, EJ Obiena, showcasing his full potential for a medal, possible gold, and even in Tokyo Olympics next year. The Filipino pole vaulter Ace Ernest John Obiena on Wednesday beat some of the world's best in the 59th Ostrava Golden Spike Tournament in Czech Republic. The reigning Asian champion cleared 5.74 meters in his first attempt. eventually bagging the gold over Renaud Leveline of France, who also cleared the same height, but because of a lesser mistake, EJ went on to get the gold. And American Sam Kendricks, the world champion in 2017, got bronze, while the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Olympics gold medalist Thiago Braz settled for fourth after their identical 5.64-meter efforts were broken. And after that tournament, EJ also bagged bronze in this just yesterday, who he cleared about 5.62 meters in 3 tries. This is the 2020 Poznan Athletics Grand Prix in Potsdam, Poland. And with his performance, the Philippines is really hoping for a medal in this coming Tokyo Olympics. And we're very thankful for his efforts, and he's really representing the Philippines in the world stage. Back to you, Amin.
Thanks, Ben. We're going to take a quick break, and we will continue on with our friendly discussions. EBC Sports International will return after this.
Hindi nyo man siya makuha ngayon, for sure darating yung time.
Kung sino man mag-a-advance, congrats. Baunin nyo tong experience na to na maging inspirasyon sa inyo, no?
Give it all.
Ang winner ng ating first weekly qualifiers ay walang iba kundi
Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is co-presented by Cooper, an expert in air conditioning and electromechanical, also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Our sponsors, BDO, we find ways. JRC Industrial Sales, RS Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. RJK Services Manpower Agency Corporation, Robust Builders, Chris Raff Enterprises, Victory Carpentry, DOP Asiatic Pest Control Services, and AUB Aspire for the Future. In partnership with New Era University ETF, Expanded Tertiary Education, Equivalency and Accreditation Program. Embrace Cafe, we embrace differently abled persons.
Hello there, I'm Alfred, and I'm a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, batch of 2008 in New Era University. I'm currently working as an operations analyst in Autodesk.
Hi, I'm Earl Escanio, and I graduated with Bachelor of Science major in Computer Science in 2010. I am a consultant at Trinity Consulting, LLC.
Hi, I'm Ivy Macapagal, Bachelor's of Computer Science graduate, year 2010. I'm currently working as a cybersecurity analyst in one of the largest telco here in New Zealand, Coast Park, NZ.
I'm Jofran David Riego, a BS Computer Science graduate here, Range 15. As a legal analyst, I am tasked with US cases, specifically civil torts cases.
I am Melanie Rico Hermosity, a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science graduate, year 2006.
I'm currently a software quality assurance engineer at FBI Systems here in Maryland, United States.
Hi, I'm Renzo Cruz. I'm a graduate of BS Computer Science, year 2012. I'm currently working abroad, and I'm working as a senior cybersecurity consultant who specializes in digital forensics and incident response. And I am part of a national security in one of the countries here in the Middle East.
I am inviting everyone to study at New Era University. To legit, to great.
Be brilliant in the new era.
Study now at New Era University.
Excellence,
Discipline,
Service to humanity.
Welcome back, everyone. You are watching EBC Sports International. Before the break, we mentioned the experience of many and everyone involved in sports is going to change, especially with the health and safety of everyone involved. The classic arena stadium food may never fill us up again. Could that be the future? The NCAA, has followed the model of the NBA and considering another bubble. As sports fans here and our viewers included, will we ever be able to enjoy the live feeling of being at the game? I'll start with Ken. Is the bubble plan going to be safe for the young athletes in the NCAA?
So, I mean, there's a lot of layers to this question, right? I mean, one of the crazy things is that not all colleges are practicing the same kind of learning, right? Some are distance learning, and then others are requiring their students to actually show up. So I think that's important to note because, at the end of the day, these are college athletes. They have to go to school. And if they're going to do any kind of bubble, I mean, there's precedent, right? The NBA, WNBA, NHL, they're all doing amazing jobs with their bubbles. And you can see that it can work if it's done right. But if you have colleges that are requiring their students to go to school and are exposed to all these other students and just anybody, I mean, you see all these reports about hundreds of students, even before the classes even start, have parties and contract the coronavirus. So if you have that kind of exposure to these athletes and you expect them to go into some sort of bubble, then it's already set up for failure. However, if let's say the only teams that can have a bubble are schools that exercise, distance learning, then there's a chance. It's one of those things where it would require a lot of logistics, and I know there's a lot of different. It's a lot more complicated than let's say just the NBA. Even though the NBA one's extremely complicated, but we're talking about hundreds of schools here, right? I mean, Coach K himself said just recently in an interview, he said this isn't a regular season. This isn't going to be a regular tournament. This isn't going to be this whole thing isn't regular as a whole. So to come up with a plan that'll appease everybody, I don't know if that's possible. But I think like what the NBA has done, safety is a number one issue, and there has to be a lot of guards in place in order for this to work and to work properly.
I think one of the biggest concerns would have to be travel. I know with the professional sports, they've been isolated literally in a bubble. Jolty, what do you think about them just keeping everything all in their regions and then possibly creating that bubble postseason like some other sports are doing?
Jolty, I think you're muted. No.
That's right. We'll let Jolty figure out his audio. I'll pass the question to EJ. EJ, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, like Ken was saying, these guys are students, right? So they have to interact with other students in a classroom environment. And again, if they do consider virtual learning, then I think it would be possible that they'd be able to have a so-called bubble. They got to isolate those players away from the regular student population. Because again, a lot of colleges are receiving flack for a lot of their population getting a positive test for COVID-19. So yeah, they got to isolate those players away from the regular students. So it's not going to be a regular experience for these athletes, right? They're going to have to be in their so-called bubble where they're able to still monitor the health and symptoms of these players. And I think it'll be manageable if they do that distance learning type of style. And I think if they're able to do it that way, I think the travel, as long as they do tests before they leave campus or when they leave another school's campus, that if they're consistently testing and monitoring their symptoms, then I think it's definitely possible to emulate a bubble like that's as bubble like as it's going to get for the NCAA.
I want to add too, like, it's not like the NBA where there's like a lot of games, right? I mean, there's only a certain amount of games. So, I mean, I think it could definitely work out. They could play their whole season like how the NBA is doing it. They're playing pretty much every other day. And, you know, it could be a nice shortened bubble. It'll be like, what, like 4 to 6, maybe 8 weeks. I mean, I think that would be like maybe in like winter break when they're not even learning either way. So that might work for these athletes. That would be a pitch from me.
Right. You know, I'll toss this question to Ben. How would you feel if sports as we know it, you know, we would never be able to experience live sports again? What would be your first reaction if they said, you know what, we're going to utilize these stadiums and arenas as housing complexes or healthcare units for the patients that would need that kind of isolated treatment? How would you feel, Ben, if you wouldn't be able to join in any live sports again?
For us, especially for sports guys like us who really love sports and wanting to see games live and see the action live, it's never going to be different. So it's always you have that feeling of excitement when you watch a live game, comparing it to just watching it live on TV or the internet. It's never going to be the same. So for me, it's going to be sad for those sports fanatics who really loves to watch games live, but they have to understand. We have to understand the situation that we have to prioritize our health, the safety of everyone. I know this will all pass, but for the meantime, I think we really have to adapt with the situation right now and really to prioritize the safety of everyone. So we can still watch the games on TV or on internet as long as we see our favorite teams play. I think that's enough for me. But here in the Philippines, as you can see, all sporting leagues, college leagues, collegiate leagues has been suspended unless a vaccine has already been introduced to the market and available. Then these leagues will be able to think and probably open the arenas for the fans. But for the meantime, all sports leagues here in the Philippines has been suspended. It's a different case with the United States and other countries where the stricter health protocols can be implemented, and there's much more resources that they can provide to make sure the safety of the players, the officials, and some fans as well.
You know, one thing that comes to mind when you're talking about suspending professional sports is the business aspect of it. Now, if we were to go back to the NCAA, and a lot of their funding and revenue comes from TV spots and coverage of these games, EJ, you know, just like any business, you know, canceling sports could take a major hit for these schools. What could this mean for players and, you know, fighting for a possibility of pay?
Right. Yeah, I know. A lot of the athletes definitely want a paycheck because they are putting their health and their bodies on the line. But I think for the meantime, that gets thrown out the window. Honestly, I don't think that's what's on their minds anymore. I think they just want to go out there and play their sport safely. I'm sure they miss like competing and having the opportunity to make a name for themselves. And in my own opinion, I don't think there is a need for college athletes to get paid. It's just like any profession. People are going to college to gain knowledge in that field and for an opportunity to make it out in their career. So, you know, that's what these athletes decided to do by joining these respective colleges and universities. to have a better opportunity to make a name for themselves and to get out there in the real big league and make the money. Besides, they have it better than most. I'm sure most, if not all of them, they receive scholarships, right? And they're going to school for free. Student debt, man, student debt is a real issue, especially over here in America. So for a lot of people in this country, I think these guys don't have to worry about that once they get out of college. So I think in the meantime, forget about the paychecks for the athletes. I'm sure they just want to go out there and compete, because right now a lot of them aren't getting that opportunity.
Most definitely, I agree with that for sure. I believe we have Jolty back, so we'll move on to our next topic here. The NBA is not the only ones who have had a successful bubble experience. The NHL is in its postseason, and now the NFL with the start of its new season. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty hyped up to see my Raiders, win big in our new stadium. Jolty, I'll start with you. How excited are you to see the new NFL season?
Oh, no, Jolty.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
I thought we had you back. It's okay. Ken, I'll toss this question to you. How excited are you to see our Las Vegas Raiders?
Not really are. This is a tough segment because Jolty's our resident NFL expert. So, Adam Schefter of the EBC is currently sitting out. We'll make do. As far as this coming season, I'm excited for my Rams. It's so sad to see that we have a new stadium, the new SoFi Stadium, which is about I think $5 billion. It's for the LA Rams and the LA Chargers, but it's going to be played with no fans. Can you imagine a brand new stadium that huge? I was planning to visit this coming month and check out the stadium, but obviously we're not allowed in the public yet. The Rams are going to be pretty exciting. I know they had a difficult season last season, dropping Todd Gurley, but I think they're going to go with a 3 running back lineup, and then they also I think it was just today they signed Jalen Ramsey to a 5-year, $105 million contract, which is, I think, the richest NFL defensive back contract ever. I think 71.2 million of that is guaranteed, so that's a nice hefty purse for someone of his position. But I think it's a great investment on a player that not just brings his talent, but he brings intensity, and he brings leadership along with Aaron Donald. It shows you what the Rams value, which is good defensive leaders. So I think that I'm very excited for the Rams. Hopefully they can make a run this year. I'm honestly not sure. I think they'll beat the Cowboys on their home opener this Sunday. But that's just because that's mainly because the Cowboys are also kind of hurt too. So I'll take a W where we can.
Most definitely. I thought you were going to be a Raiders fan. OG LA, represent.
Yeah. My high school was Silver Creek Raiders, but I lived in LA for so long that I told myself I will adopt any LA team that comes.
Most definitely. We're going to ask the next question. I'm going to give Jolty one last chance to chime in here. The Chiefs and the Texans players, they locked arms in unity with their coach and staff. Jolty, what were your first thoughts about how the fans in Kansas City reacted to that display of unity?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes! Hey, here we go. Yeah.
There we go.
I apologize. All right.
It's a miracle.
That's right. The Chiefs and Texans players, when they locked arms and the fans started booing, at first it sounded kind of like a howl to me, because the Chiefs mascot is a wolf. And until it was pointed out that, like my wife pointed out to me that they were booing, like that's horrible. You're booing players locking arms in unity, like for equality. That's ridiculous. How are you gonna boo that? You're one of only 2 stadiums in the NFL that's allowing fans in the stands. Kansas City and Jacksonville are the only 2 stadiums that are allowing fans in this year, and you're gonna like disrespect the privilege of being there by doing that. Like, you know, just don't let them in anymore. Why would you let them in if they're gonna do that? Not only boo the opposing team, but your team as well. Like, that's so disrespectful.
You know, some of the thoughts that ran into my head was like, what's gonna really get that message of everyone trying to be united across? You know, I mean, I don't know what it's gonna take. You know, it was respectful. You know, it was tasteful. It was full of class, and you know, the reaction was just. I don't know if I would have expected a reaction like that, but I mean, nowadays you never know. Interesting times for sure. When we return, we will discuss the recently released NBA All-Defensive teams for the season. Do we agree? Do we disagree? We'll also give our predictions on the NBA Conference Final matchups and more. Stick with us after the break. EBC Sports International will be right back.
Do you want to earn a degree while you work? New Era University now offers Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETIAP. ETIAP is an educational scheme that recognizes knowledge, skills, and prior learning obtained by individuals from non-formal and informal education experiences. It is implemented through deputized higher educational institutions like the New Era University that awards the appropriate degrees. Programs offered are the following: Master's Program, Masters of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management, Master's Program in Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Political Science, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Mass Communication, Bachelor of Science in Education, major in Filipino, major in English, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with majors in Human Resources Development, Marketing Management, and Financial Management. Beneficiaries must be Filipinos who have attained at least high school level of education. The program is flexible and you don't need to attend regular classes. Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETIAP, is under the supervision of Dr. Nilo L. Rosas, the University President, and Professor Anita P. Santos, Director of ETIAP. For more information, contact the following: Cristina Moreno, 0995-138-0786, or email cvmoreno@neu.edu.ph, or Arlene Sarmiento, 0906-298-9150, or email cedctl@neu.edu.ph. What are you waiting for? Let New Era University be your partner in achieving your dreams.
Hey, Ronnie, can you help her? Before the break, we posed a question about the NBA All teams being released, but we seem to chirp a little more about the selections for the defensive first and second teams. Do we agree or do we disagree? The NBA All Defensive team for this season includes Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, Ben Simmons, Rudy Gobert, and Marcus Smart. The NBA All Defensive second team includes Kawhi Leonard, Brook Lopez, Bam Adebayo, Patrick Beverly, and Eric Bledsoe. Ben, agree or disagree?
For me, I do agree with the selection and how they come up with the list. There are 8 first-team candidates, the 5 on my team, plus Doncic, Jokic, and Lillard. The NBA has gone wild on positional flexibility, making LeBron James eligible at guard and going so far as to making Jokic eligible at forward. So it's pretty much this year is really different, but it really they were on point. Some of my choices for this year, they were all on the list, and and before everyone assumed that the first team would be Doncic and Harden at guard, LeBron and Antetokounmpo at forward, but they made it some changes, making LeBron at guard and Jokic as forward. So I think, but for me in general, the choices and the list were, I agree on the list.
Interesting. EJ, I'll toss it to you. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, but so for the most part, I do agree. But I honestly hate that Rudy Gobert made the defensive first team. I think, honestly, I don't know why this guy makes it every single year. I think he's an overrated defender. He's not as quick or as mobile as, say, an Anthony Davis, who I think if we do some rearranging, put Davis there at the center spot, since, you know, like Ben was saying, a lot of these players are interchangeable, and add Kawhi back into that first team and get rid of Gobert. I think the reason why I say that, he got exposed a lot during round one in these playoffs. Jokic had his number pretty much the entire series, and Jamal Murray and others from the Denver Nuggets were attacking the basket at will. I really don't understand why Rudy Gobert always makes it on the defensive first team. Also, some may argue that Ben Simmons doesn't deserve to be on the first team, but honestly, I don't have a problem with it. He's a taller guard who does have the ability to defend well. I've watched games in the regular season where he's shut down the opposing point guards, and I think it is because of his height, his strength, that it gives him that advantage. Yeah, Patrick Beverley could have replaced him there in the first team, but I think it could have gone either way. The other one I don't like, who made the list at all, even a second team, is Eric Bledsoe. Ever since he's been in Milwaukee, that guy hasn't lived up to any expectations, man. He consistently disappears, especially in the playoffs. Dude shouldn't have any recognition, in my opinion.
I honestly forgot he was there, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. What's he doing on the list?
I have no idea. But I mean, if you're playing with the MVP, I guess you tend to get a little bit of sunshine too.
I guess they gotta just add some players in there.
Exactly. Ken, what are your thoughts on this? All the
so a couple things. I think as EJ mentioned, Ben Simmons. A lot of people say shouldn't be on the first team, but man, he averaged 2.1 steals per game, right? So that'll put you up there. The guy is long. He's aggressive, and he's pesky. Not as pesky as Patrick Beverley, but I mean, I think it's one of those things where he's not overrated. Definitely, Kawhi Leonard has to be on that first team. I mean, the guy's called the Claw for a reason. I think one of the considerations why he wasn't on the first team is just because of how much he was rested. Him and Paul George. I mean, those guys, if they played the entire season, would both be on first team, right? I mean, or at least first and second team. Those guys are just insane. I mean, we see them clamp on these guys. What they've been doing with the Nuggets, other than today. It's been pretty crazy to see. Even LeBron James. I mean, like LeBron James has had actually. I think I wouldn't mind him being on the second team. The guy has had an amazing season, not just offensively but defensively. Did you see what was that game 4 or game 3? It was 4 blocks in that third quarter against the Houston Rockets. And I know this is the playoffs, but I mean, like. It wasn't just the playoffs that he's turned up his defense. He has been on point with his entire game, the entire season, not just on his assists. I mean, he led the league in assists, but his defense, I think a lot of it had to do with, Anthony Davis being on the team. And then also I agree with EJ, Eric Bledsoe. Why is this guy on this list?
Every year, man. He makes it every year, and it's surprising. I don't understand.
I don't even know why he got that fat contract too. I think a lot of it has to do with playing with Giannis. I think the snub of this list has to be Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, Dame said it himself. He said, why is this guy being snubbed? Same with Drew's teammate, JJ Redick. They both complained of Drew being snubbed. That guy is nasty on defense. If you watch him clamp on a lot of these guards, he clamps up. Even Andre Iguodala said that he clamps up Steph Curry better than anybody else in the league. So I think Drew Holiday should definitely have replaced Eric Bledsoe on this list.
Seems like everybody is not a fan of Eric Bledsoe.
Hey man, that guy was basically didn't. He should have just stayed home. He did not show up for this bubble.
Right.
Oh man, and now that we'll bring up that point a little bit later on when we touch on the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis' performance. We'll get right into the conference final matchup predictions. We have the Lakers and Rockets matchup potentially closing, the Clippers and Nuggets extending the series, the former champs, the Raptors, fighting against the Celtics, and the Heat are just chilling. Dark horse of the East there. Jolty, let's hear your predictions on these matchups.
Yeah, well, I mean, Raptors, Celtics are, as we're filming this, they're, 1-point game late in the third, in Game 7. So I don't even think I can comment on that game other than, the Celtics have the captain of the U.S. Diving team, Marcus Smart, on the floor. As far as the Clippers Nuggets, I feel like the Clippers they're having trouble closing games. They were up like 17 today or something like that, 18.
16.
And, they end up losing 16, and they still end up losing. You know what I mean? Like, you have that comfortable lead. You have Kawhi Leonard. You have Paul George, who scored, I think, 28 or 30 tonight. You have these guys on the floor. You need to be able to maintain that lead and close out a series. I mean, they get another chance in a couple nights in Game 6, and I think they should be able to do it there. There's no reason why they shouldn't. Like, Jamal Murray has not showed up in this series, so there's no way Denver should have won 2 games. Michael Porter Jr. scores 6 points all in the final minute of the game, which seals the game. Like, that's ridiculous. Then those are his only points in the game. Lakers,
He's clutch.
He is clutch, but all game he does nothing, and then in the final minute he wakes up and shows up. Like, that's ridiculous. How you let that happen? My predictions. Let's get to it. My predictions. It'll be Heat, Raptors. Heat will, take care of them, no problem. And then it'll be Lakers, Clippers, all LA. And if Rondo throws the ball off the backboard to LeBron with 30 seconds left, only up 8, when LeBron has 2 defenders on him, I think Clippers will take the series.
Ooh. Oh man, I thought that was super necessary. I think it had to be done. At this point, I can't question playoff Rondo. Throughout the whole season, we were just like, what if Rondo was this? What's Rondo going to do? Why is he even on the court? Well,
the problem with that though,
he needs to lob it. That's what he needs to do.
Okay, he has to lob it, but that's a potential 5-point swing, minimum 4-point swing. If he
injury for LeBron.
It was like a 15-point swing, actually. I mean, like, they were up 20, and they almost lost that game. I mean, it was the Lakers did everything that way.
But that dunk made them go up 8.
Right.
Oh,
I mean,
no, 8. Like, so, they could have potentially brought it back down to 5, within 5 points with 30 seconds left or 25 seconds left. That's nothing for Westbrook and Harden.
Yeah, but if you think about it, LeBron and Rondo are literally Space Jam monsters. Those guys have like crazy long arms. I mean, both those guys were okay with that play. I had no.
But you guys mentioned it off. If you guys mentioned it off air, he lobs it up, and LeBron gets undercut, and he tears something in his knee. What's that for the Lakers? That's the.
But it didn't happen. That's the.
But did you die? For the safe layup if you're wrong. How are you gonna?
Yeah, in retrospect, was it the smartest play? Probably not. But I mean, like, I think
it worked out.
I think what's his name? Rondo reads what is that book? Sun Tzu, the Art of War. Yeah. I think he reads that every single day. He knew that this was going to be a mental hurdle that would down the Rockets, and especially if the Lakers put it away tomorrow, it's because Rondo threw it off the backboard.
Okay, but if LeBron gets injured, he's sitting here and you're saying Rondo needs to be cut. Rondo needs to be out of this league. He's a horrible player. Why would you throw it off the backboard?
Yeah, but you're talking ifs. We're talking about what happened. What happened was a nice off the backboard one hand flush.
But you can't let that if be there. You can't let that if be there. Go for the safe play. We're not even talking about if LeBron gets injured, if he just lays it up. But the fact that we're having the conversation of if, that's already too dangerous for the Lakers.
Fair enough.
Risky.
Well, Lakers still lead 3-1, so never mind with Rondo's mistakes there.
Well, I won't knock Rondo for it. I can't hit on LeBron for, showing out. But what I will knock them over is that it possibly fueled that fourth quarter possible comeback from the Rockets. And to trade the lob and the showmanship for a loss, I don't know how we would have lived with that. Speaking of the Rockets, though, Ben, what does the Rockets and James Harden have to do to get back into this series?
Well, I saw Houston Rockets completely outmatched in their last game against the Lakers, 110-100 in Game 4 of their second round series. But on Game 5, I think Russell Westbrook said he believes Houston can do better and they will win the game and still fight another day. And he's kind of have a different mindset going to Game 5. And he's really positive that they will take the win come Game 5. I think they have made some changes. I think they have limit Harden in the last game. And I think they have to make some options for other players to score, not only James Harden, because the defense is focused on Harden. So there's going to be another player will be available to make that shot. So I think Mike D'Antoni is also not new in this situation. Remember, when he coached the Phoenix Suns, when they were also in a 3-1 deficit, they beat the Lakers. And he's also confident that this team with James Harden and Westbrook can still bounce back from a 3-1 deficit. But with the lineup that the Lakers have, it's going to be a tough job for the Rockets, especially for Westbrook and Harden, to really beat the Lakers in a 3-1 deficit with all the strong lineup that the Lakers have, comparing it to the Rockets.
We're going to take a quick
comment.
We can add our little comments after a short break. We'll continue our discussion in just a few moments.
Mga kababayan, naharap na naman po tayo sa mabigat na pagsubok na ito. Ito yung COVID-19.
I hope everyone's okay. I hope everyone's safe.
Nandito po kami para hikayatin pa po kayo na maging matibay.
Mas maging matatag po tayo and just stay positive po sa lahat po ng nangyayari ngayon.
Mga mahal kong kababayan, lampasan po natin, pagtagumpayan po natin ang pagsubok na ito.
Stay strong sa panahon po na to.
Huwag tayong mawawalan ng pag-asa.
At inihikayat din po namin kayo na sana makinig po tayo sa ating gobyerno.
Sumunod muna tayo sa gobyerno dahil yun yung pinakamainam na paraan para hindi na lumagana pa yung virus.
Let's all stay at home.
Spend time with our loved ones, with our families.
At higit po sa lahat, make sure to pray for everyone, pray for everything that is going on right now, especially our frontliners po who are sacrificing their lives to take care of everything.
Higit sa lahat, patuloy tayong lumapit, magtiwala at manalangin sa ating Panginoong Diyos.
Lagi tayong manalangin dahil yun po ang may pinaka-mainam na solusyon sa lahat po ng mga problema natin.
God bless you and your family. Please stay strong and keep our faith.
Tuloy po ang laban.
Hello everyone, welcome back to EBC Sports International. Before our break, we had a few panelists that wanted to comment on what the Rockets need to do to get back into this series. Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say, Ben mentioned the Lakers being down, Lakers being up 3-1 against D'Antoni's Suns before. I mean, that was a whole different team, right? It was, the Suns were amazingly stacked with Steve Nash, and then the Lakers had Kobe and then a bunch of Smush Parkers, and so. That's a whole different story. I do not think that LeBron would allow the Lakers to lose 3 in a row. Max 2 games, but even if it goes to Game 7, I think the LeBron toe comes out and just ends these guys. And I also want to say that I think PJ Tucker is done, man. I think the guy's out of energy. Like the guy, I admire him for being able to sacrifice his body for an entire series against Anthony Davis. But I mean, you can only do that for so long. Literally, he was 0 for 4, 0 points last game. And then James Harden, I think, was tired too. The guy had 2 field goals for the entire game. But I think he had 20 free throws. I think that free throw disparity versus the Lakers was pretty crazy and eye-opening to see. That just goes to show that this is not a ref-controlled game for the Lakers. The Lakers just showed up and wanted it more. I think one of the biggest things that the Rockets didn't have this last game, and I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it out this next game, is energy. They came out flat and stayed flat pretty much until the last 5 minutes of the game. It was way too late. You're down 20, and that's when you start waking up. No, sorry, that's not going to happen, especially against these Lakers. Even though they wanted to throw it away, they couldn't throw it away. And one thing I got to shout out, Alex Caruso, baby, Caruso. That guy is the truth. Man, can you believe this guy clutched 3 defense on James Harden all day? That is my guy.
I feel like we could talk about the Lakers all night. But one series that I really want to, one team I really want to touch on are the Nuggets and the Clippers. Now, I know that everybody wants to see the battle of LA, but you can't really count out the Denver Nuggets. Do you attribute the breakdown to the Clippers' the defense, or do we really need to put respect on Denver's name? So, Ken or EJ, I'll throw that question to you. What do you think is going to happen in this series?
Well, first of all, Denver lives to see another day. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to Game 7, because, like you said, that these guys climbed out of a 3-1 hole just last series against the Utah Jazz. So you can't cut them off. And I remember Jolty was saying that they were up, the Clippers were up pretty big
16.
before 16 before Denver comes back. And this is what gets me is that the Clippers have been promoting themselves as best defensive team in the NBA, best defensive team in the NBA. And they can't hold a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter. I think that just opens the eyes of us, the viewers, seeing that maybe they're not as clutch defensively as they need to be. I mean, obviously, this whole time, the Clippers have not shown to be their true colors, or the true colors of what we thought they were going to be shutting out teams. They were allowing who they first Dallas Mavericks. They let them in the mix. It wasn't an easy series for them, and now this Denver series isn't looking to be easy for them. So I don't think
they need Eric Bledsoe.
no one needs Eric Bledsoe. No, but, yeah. So your question was, was it more on the Clippers' defense, or do we need to take the Nuggets seriously? I think it's both, because Nuggets climbed out of the 3-1 hole, and the Clippers haven't shown up defensively.
You know what it was?
That's my take on it.
It was that Marcus Morris tech in the fourth. That's what woke up the Nuggets. That's what you get, Marcus Morris, for playing dirty. That tech led to that extended run for the Nuggets and the eventual win. Thank you, Marcus Morris, for the series.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be an LA versus LA affair, and let's be honest, all of us want to see that LA versus LA. I don't want Denver. I Rockets. As much as I love Westbrook and Harden, I don't want to see them. I want to see LA versus LA.
If you're a Lakers fan, you want to see LA. But if you want the Lakers to go on, and I feel like from an analytical point of view, I don't want the Lakers to play the Clippers, because you're potentially going up against a real contender for the championship, and it can drag on the series to Game 7. You do have a strong team with the Lakers, but if they're going to be coming out of that Western Conference Finals after a Game 7 and going on to possibly face the former champs or the Miami Heat, and you're going to want to steamroll whoever you're going to play prior to that. So, I'm hoping the Nuggets win, but you never know.
No, I want the best team to win it. I want to see who really deserves that title. So
I think
I want LA.
Is that their bigs, JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, are literally resting for an entire series.
Right, for reals. But we'll touch a little bit on Giannis's intent to continue on, because as we know, there's been a lot of league talk about where Giannis Antetokounmpo will end up or where he will decide. Even though he's been vocal about staying with Milwaukee, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to try to gun for him. So I personally would want him to stay in Milwaukee and then possibly replacing Eric Bledsoe in the backcourt. But that's just me. But I mean, if you're all defensive, you have a really strong argument. Ben, what would you like to see from the Greek Freak, and where do you think he should go?
Bucks All-Star reigning MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo has been the center of so many speculation if he's going to leave the Bucks or not. I think for me, he should stay and just pick a different point guard who would really help him in the backcourt. Would really be effective, because if he have a support team like LeBron had with the Lakers, I think it's gonna be easy for the Bucks to stay on top and be probably win a championship. But next year it's gonna be hard for him because KD and Kyrie will be returning. So it's gonna be a challenge for the Bucks if they don't find a great guard who would really help Giannis. But I think Giannis, his heart, it would still really stay with the Bucks, and that's just me. But I think if there's no effort from the Bucks management to really find a great point guard who would really help him, I think we'll see if there's his decision would change or not.
Right. I think if they do supplement their staff, who knows what Giannis can do. He's definitely a superior athlete. We'll go ahead and move on to our iconic question of the show. It wouldn't be an EBC SI episode without one, right? So I wanted to ask the panelists, if you could be drafted into a professional sport, let's say at this point in your life, what sport would that be? I'll start with Ben. Go ahead.
I would say hockey. So I've always been fascinated with in the ice as you know, here in the Philippines, there's no ice, but we do have ice rinks. So when I was young, I do love watching the Mighty Ducks in all the movies of them. So for me, then I tried playing hockey when I was older, and it was really fun. So for me, it's different from being in a multi-sport. Going into a different sport like hockey would be really fun for me. I think that's a choice for me. If I would be drafted in a professional sport, would be NHL.
Awesome. I was pretty surprised with that response, but definitely interesting. EJ, what professional sport would you be drafted in?
For me, I don't think it would be drafted, but I'd love for the PGA to openly accept me because I'd obviously finish last in every single tournament, but I'd sure be having a blast playing free golf and getting to travel and play the best courses. PGA, put me there.
Nice. Ken, what would
with the #1 pick of the 2020 draft, the Lakers choose 32-year-old Ken Cruz.
I don't think I'm that surprised. The Lakers starting center. So I'm just kidding. Jolty, what would that sport be for you?
All right, picture this. I'm running down the court with 30 seconds left. I lob it up off the backboard. Ken grabs it. 2 players on him and dunks the ball, bringing up 8. The NBA, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, man. For me, I would definitely say a professional ping pong player. With all the joints that I'm riddled with now, aches, and that's all I got, just back and forth. Shoot, and ping pong's been a pretty popular sport, worldwide. But that's where I would go. That's all we have for this week's episode of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. Until next time, walk with patience, walk with purpose, and walk with love. For Eagle News, I'm Aljamain Santos. We live in interesting times.
Well, I think I'm going out of my